Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 1 and Chapter 6. Shlokas are from 20 to 38. Evam yatantam vijane mamaha gocharo giram gambirashtlakleya vacha shuchah prashamayanniva. Shloka 21. Hantasmin janmani bhavan mam madrashtumiharhati avipakvakashayanam Durdarshoham kuyoginam.
Hare Krishna.
Is the slide going to change? Is the reading will be in between, Mataji?
I think someone need to read the translation. I didn't read the translation for the first one.
I can read. Hare Krishna, text 20 translation. Seeing my attempt in that lonely place, the personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all mundane descriptions, spoke to me with gravity and pleasing words just to mitigate my grief. Should I read 21 as well, translation?
Yes, Prabhu.
Text 21 translation. O Narada, the Lord spoke, I regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me anymore. Those who are incomplete in service and who are not completely free from all material taints can hardly see me. Hare Krishna.
Sakrut yaddarshitam rupam yetmatat kamayate naga matkamah shanakai sadhu sarvan munchati hruchayan.
Translation. O virtuous one, you've only once seen my person, and this is just to increase your desire for me. Because the more you hanker for me, the more you will be freed from all material desires.
Text 23. Sat sevaya dirgayapi jata mayidrudamatihi hitva vadyamimam lokam ganta majjanatamasi.
By service of the absolute truth, even for a few days, a devotee attains firm and fixed intelligence in me. Consequently, he goes on to become my associate in the transcendental world after giving up the present deplorable material worlds.
Text 24. Matir mayi nibaddeyam na vipadyeta karhichet praja sarga nirodepi smrutischa madanugrahat.
Translation. Intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time, even at the time of creation as well as the time of annihilation. Your remembrance will continue by my mercy.
Text 25. Ye tavaduktvo pararama tanmahad bhutam nabolingam aham cha tasmai mahatam mahiyase Shishnavanamam vidadenu kampitaha.
Translation. Then that supreme authority personified by sound and unseen by eyes, but most wonderful, stopped speaking. Feeling a sense of gratitude, I offered my obeisances unto him, bowing my head.
Text 26. Namanyanantasya hatatrapah patan guhyani bhadrani krutani chasmaran gam paryatan stushtamanagata spruhaha kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha.
Translation. Thus I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are benedictory. So doing, I traveled all over the earth, fully satisfied, humble, and unenvious.
Text 27. Evam Krishnamater nasakta syamalatmanaha kalah pradurabhut kale tadit saudamaniyata.
And so, O Brahmana Vyasdeva, in due course of time, I, who was fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna and who therefore had no attachments, being completely free from all material taints, met with death as lightning and illumination occur simultaneously.
Text 28. Prayujyamane mayitam Shuddham Bhagavatim Tanum Arabdha Karma Nirvano Nyapatat Pancha Bhautikaha.
Having been awarded a transcendental body befitting an associate of the personality of Godhead, I quit the body made of 5 material elements, and thus all acquired fruitive results of work, karma, stopped.
Text 29. Kalpanta idamadaya shayanem vasyudhanvataha shishayo sharanu pranam vivikentaraham vibho.
At the end of the millennium, when the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, lay down within the water of devastation, Brahma began to enter into him along with all creative elements, and I also entered through his breathing.
Text 30. Sahasra yuga paryante uttayedam sisrukshataha marichi mitra rushayaha pranabhyoham cha jignare.
After 4,300 million solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again by the will of the Lord, all the rishis like Marichi, Angira, Atri, and so on were created from the transcendental body of the Lord and also appeared along with them.
Text 31. Antarbahishcha lokan strin paryemya skanditavrataha anugrahan mahavishnor ravigatagati kvachit.
Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the 3 divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord.
Text 32. Devadatta-mimam veenam stara-brahma vibhushitam murchayitva harikatam gayamanascharamyaham.
And thus I travel constantly singing the transcendental message of the glories of the Lord, vibrating this instrument called a veena, which is charged with transcendental sound and which was given to me by Lord Krishna.
Text 33. Pragayatah svaviryani tirtapadah priyashravaha ahuta iva me shigram darshanam yati chetasi.
The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, whose glories and activities are pleasing to hear, at once appears on the seat of my heart, as if called for as soon as I begin to chant his holy activities.
Text 34. Etad vyatura chittanam matra sparshe chayamuhu bhava sindhu plavo drushto haricharyanuvarnanam.
It is personally experienced by me that those who are always full of cares and anxieties due to hearing the contact of the senses with their objects can cross the ocean of nescience on most suitable boat, the constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead.
Text 35. Yamadhi do biryoga patai kamalobahato muhuhu mukunda sevaya yadvat tatmanadhana shamyati.
It is true that by practicing restraint of the senses by the yoga system, one can get relief from disturbances of desire and lust. But this is not sufficient to give satisfaction to the soul. for this satisfaction is derived from devotional service to the personality of Godhead.
Text 36. Sarvam tadidamakhyatam yat krishtoham tvaya naga janma karma rahasyam me bhavataschatmatoshanam.
O Vyasdev, you are freed from all sins. Thus I've explained my birth and activities for self-realization as you asked. All this will be conducive for your personal satisfaction also.
Text 37. Suta uvacha evam sambhashya bhagavan narado vasavi sutam amantrya veenam ranayan yayau yadmachiko munihi.
Suta Goswami said, thus addressing Vyasdev, Srila Narada Muni took leave of him, and vibrating on his Veena instrument, he left to wander at his free will.
Text 38. Aho devarshirtanyoyam yat kirtim shadgadhanvanaha gayan madhyannidam tantrya ramayatyaturam jagat. Harihi Om Tat
All glory and success to Srila Narad Muni because he glorifies the activities of the personality of Godhead, and so doing, he himself takes pleasure and also enlivens all the distressed souls of the universe. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry for the mistakes I have made. Sorry.
Wonderful Gita Gamya Mataji. It was, I thought, MS Subbalakshmi singing something. It was so nice. Thank you so much. Thank you, Deepak Prabhu. Very nice reading.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. I'll share my screen now and then we'll discuss the rest for the day. So we will be discussing text 30, Canto 1, Chapter 6, 630. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Text 30. Sahasra Yuga Paryante Uthayedam Susakshitaha Marichi Mishra Rishaya Pranebhyo Aham Cha Jagdire. Sahasra Yuga Paryante Uthayedam Susakshitaha Marichi Mishra Rishaya Pranebhyo Cha Jagdire. Synonyms. Sahasra, 1,000. Yuga, 4,300,000 years. Paryante, at the end of the duration. Uthaya, having expired. Idam, this. Shataha, desire to create again. Marichi Mishraha, rishis like Marichi. Rishaya, all the rishis. Pranebhya, out of its senses. Aham, I. Cha, also. Jagmire appeared. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. After 4,300,000,000 solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again by the will of the Lord, all the rishis like Marichi, Angira, Atri, and so on were created from the transcendental body of the Lord. And I also appeared along with them. purport. The duration of a day in the life of Brahma is 4,320,000,000 solar years. This is stated also in the Bhagavad Gita. So for this period, Brahmaji rests in Yoga Nidra within the body of the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, the generator of Brahma. Thus, after the sleeping period of Brahma, when there is again creation by the will of the Lord through the agency of Brahma, all the great rishis again appear from different parts of the transcendental body, and Narada also appears. This means that Narada appears in the same transcendental body as a man awakes from sleep in the same body. Sri Narada is eternally free to move in all parts of transcendental and material creations of the Almighty. He appears and disappears in his own transcendental body, which is without distinction of body and soul, unlike conditioned beings. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanutam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Dalita Sri Vishakhanutam Se He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschata Desha Tarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangham Langhaite Girim Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurudena Tarine Paramananda Bhagwan Sri Chaitanya. Everybody, thank you so much for being here this Thursday evening. Satyam Bhagavata Seva, we are here every day, every evening to discuss Bhagavad Katha. So today we are discussing or continuing the journey of Srila Narada Muni, and he's explaining his experience, that life when he was one of the maid servants and how he attained the transcendental body. So we are now on verse 30, and now Narada Muni is explaining what happened after he had left the previous body. The previous verse was at the end of millennium, when the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, lay down within the water of devastation. Brahma began to enter into him along with all creative elements, and I also entered through his breathing. And this is Sahasra Yuga Paryante Thayedam Sukshataha. So after 4,300,000,000 solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again by the will of the Lord, all the rishis like Marichi, Angira, Three and so on were created from the functional body of the Lord. So the Saptarishis, they appear every time with the Lord Brahma. And then Narad Muni also appeared at the same time. So it's interesting what it says here is, so for this period Brahmaji rests. So this is the day of Brahma is 4 billion. The duration of a day in the life of Brahma is 4,320 million. And there is equal night time. So together it becomes 8,640 million. And when Brahmaji goes to rest, this is interesting, this was not aware before that Brahmaji rests in Yoga Nidra within the body of the Garbhodakshayi. So Lord Brahma goes into the body of Garbhodakshayi, and he rests in Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is meditation. So he's sleeping, but he's sleeping in meditation. He's meditating on the Lord once again, because he's aware when he wakes up in the morning again, he should start creation. And he is meditating and praying to the Lord. The Lord blesses him with the knowledge to be able to create once again. So that's the day of Lord Brahma. It's interesting. It's very busy. So it's wherever we are in the material world, there is so much services to do. Lord Brahma has taken this service and is performing this service to create every day of his day. And then I guess dissolved every night. There are dissolution. This is partial dissolution that is referred here, I believe, and there is total dissolution when that is the end of life of Lord Brahma. So every time Mahavishnu inhales, he just inhales the whole of universe, the whole of material creation inside. And as he exhales, all the universes appear from his body, from his perspiration. So this is interesting how this is Lord Brahma's life. It's only a day we're talking about, times 2, then times 30, this becomes a month, and then times 12 becomes a year, and then times 100, like that. So I think goes in trillions. There's a similar verse I was thinking, this was in chapter 8, Bhagavad Gita, verse 17. So this is the same. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Viduhu Ratri Mida Sahasrantam Teho Ratra Vido Jana. A human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together from the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his mind. So this explains the full calculation. These 100 births, total 2, this is the life of Brahma. It says Brahma lives 100 years of 100 of such years, and that works out to 311 trillion and 40 billion Earth years. We live for 100 years of earthly planet, and Brahma lives 100 years of this planet. And likewise, the demigods. So the time is relative. Everyone seems to be living 100 years in terms of their own time. So Prabhu explains like this: ant lives, and his lifetime, if they compare, probably they live for a day. Although sometimes some of the flies become, towards the light. They take birth, and then within the same day, they complete the whole cycle of birth and growth, and getting young, and then regenerating and getting disease and death, and everything happens within a day. So for them, human living 100 years, these days even less, lot less than that. But even then, let's say 100 years human life for them seems to be Brahma. So for a ant, human is Brahma. For us, for Brahma, this is the time. So this time is relevant. Relative. So this is so we can imagine what it means, how big, how great the Lord is. Mahavishnu one is only breath. That's the lifetime of Brahma. As he exhales and he inhales, that's Brahma's lifetime. So, and there are millions of universes, and then so many Brahmas at the same time appearing in the Lord Mahavishnu, Paramaraksha Vishnu. This is the greatness of the Lord. So, in the verse, what else is there is Prabhupada explains in Narada Muni is now eternally free to move in all parts of the material creation of the Almighty. He appears and disappears in his own transcendental body, which is without distinction of body and soul, unlike conditioning. This is the perfection of Srila Narada Muni. So, Srila Prabhupada has given this philosophic verse, and I was hearing someone speaking. This is there's a very popular spiritual group in India called Art of Living. And what Prabhupada has given us? Art of, yeah. What is the art that Prabhupada has given us in comparison to the art of living?
Art of dying, Prabhuji.
Art of dying. Thank you so much. And the whole of Srimad Bhagavatam is full of stories of pastimes of the devotees of the Lord who are teaching us the art of dying. So I thought it's a good discussion that we can have today. Maybe half an hour. So can anyone share some what they can remember from Bhagavatam? Any devotees, art of dying, who's mastered the art of dying? Sorry, Mataji?
Parikshit Maharaj.
Yes, Mataji. Please speak more about it. How did he master the art of dying?
He detached from his kingdom and went and sat and listened to Sukhdev Goswami and listened to Srimad Bhagavatam. Surrendered totally to the Lord.
Yeah, amazing. When he was cursed, they said that he was also spiritually very powerful. He could have, countered us, or he could have stopped us. But the beauty of the devotees of the Lord is that they take that as Lord's desire. So as soon as he heard of the curse, he took it that this is the desire of the Lord, that I now give up this body. So he accepted that with grace. And this is the art of dying. And for devotees, they're not fearful of death. Because they are actually awaiting death in one sense, because they know that after death they will see Krishna and they will have as Navamuni said, that he had a transcendental body. So the devotees like Parikshit Maharaj, he just stopped, after you saying, eating and drinking for 7 days. He never felt hungry, he never felt thirsty. He was fully absorbed in hearing Krishna Katha. And because of his absorption, Shukdev Goswami was also so excited, he was so appreciative of how Parikshit Maharaj was so eager to hear Krishna Katha. So this is the perfection or the mastering of art of dying. And any other example? We go like, so Narada Muni, this is the first in Pashan that is read in Bhagavatam, then comes as Mother, you saying Parikshit Maharaj, and then Bhishmadev. Bhishmadev also,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
my voice is not good, so I'm asking you to speak. Bhishmadev, anyone wants to share? Like, how did he master the art of that?
Mm.
So what happened at the time of Bhishma? Bhishma he had a boon from his father that he will have Ichha Mrityu, means he can die whenever he wants to die. It's up to him. So in spite of all the arrows that were, Arjuna had charged at him, and his body was, resting on the bed of arrows, to say. But he had the Ichha Mrityu, which means he could have died anytime, but he preferred to die at a particular time of the year. But also the perfection of his death was that Lord Krishna personally,
Personal.
so his mastery was because he was a devotee of the Lord, and he did everything for the desire to fulfill the desire of the Lord. So what was that? So Bhishma was such a great fighter. Nobody could beat him. Nobody had his strength. Even his own spiritual master Parsuram also could not defeat him in one incident. So he was such a great warrior. But what did Lord Krishna wanted to establish the principle that whoever you are, when you are against the religion, and then you cannot sustain, you cannot um, uh, go against the religion, and you will have to face that. You have to face the truth. So he was trying to fulfill that Lord's mission and to show to the world that nobody can say, nobody can say or stand in his Lord or his devotees. When Lord has decided someone has to go, whoever you are. So he was playing that role, but he was a devotee of the Lord. And how the Lord fulfilled his desire to appear in front of him. And then when as he was giving up his body, the beautiful prayers coming up in the night of that. And how Lord is standing there and how he is praying. And how did he address Lord as Vijay Sakha? And kind of Vijay was name of Arjun. So he addressed Lord as the time that you are, his friend. So he addressed first, the name of the devotee, and then asking, how addressing the Lord is friend of the devotee Arjun. Vijay. This is how he was announcing again that how Lord will always protect you. This is amazing glories, glorious pastime or passing away of Krishna. Any other? So many actually, I've got list. There's also this pastime comes of Katvanga Rishi. Yeah, does anyone know Katvanga Rishi story? Katvanga King. Katvanga.
He surrendered in few minutes. I
Yep.
think less than 5 minutes. I can't remember the exact.
Okay. When he was asked demigods how long has he got to live, and they said 1 moment, and that was for the 48 minutes of the last time. And then he perfected his life in 48 minutes. And who else? You remember?
The Pandavas, Prabhuji.
Yes, amazing. Yes, Father, please share that's amazing story. Yes, please. Can you expand on that?
They left for the forest and meditated.
Yes, as soon as Yudhishthira Maharaj received the news of Lord, going back to his own abode, Yudhishthira Maharaj immediately said, "Now the Lord has left, and there is no point for us to live here in this material world." So he immediately arranged the coronation of Parikshit Maharaj as the king next day, and he left. And as he was leaving, then all the brothers followed him, and also Draupadi followed him. And they went to as it says, they went to the north and they went up the Himalayas. And then, one by one, they just all left the body. Draupadi first left, then Sahadev, then Nakul, then Arjun, and Bhima, and Yudhishthira in the end. They just did not want to live. So their devotees have no attachment to the material world. So their only attachment is service to the Lord. That's how the Pandavas so gloriously they left the material world. Thank you so much, Mataji. Any other?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, is that Dhritarashtra when Vidura asked him to leave home? Yes.
Can you say more?
No. Yeah, when Vidura advised him, he said, "You are sitting here like, beggar, and eating their food. You should go to the forest now. You should do tapasya and leave your body there, and what's name? You should engage in the service of the Lord now, so you shouldn't die like this, sitting in the palace. You should take sannyas."
Yeah.
So he advised him like that. Then he took Dhritarashtra with him, and that's the way he told him how to die, how to get,
In spite of being yeah, sort of villain in the whole Mahabharata, but at the time of death, he just actually performed the authorities and on advice,
Yes.
because Vidur was always so kind to him. So he returned back. Vidur had already left Hastinapur and he had no interest to come back. He came back to just to shake up Dhritarashtra once again.
Dhritarashtra,
Tried many
yes.
times before. Now this is really heavy language that you are eating, what Bhima is giving, because Bhima had actually killed all his sons. And so just like, living like just he's throwing away, how do you say, the food like a dog, something like that. Quite heavy.
Yeah, that's what Vidra said. You are eating like a food, like a dog now in that place.
Master. And also ignoring Bhima, so he used quite heavy language. But in the end, as you said, the first and also Gandhari left with him. And they thank you, Mataji. And after that,
Thank you.
then come to the fourth canto, Dhruva Maharaj.
So sorry, Prabhuji, I'm having a little bit of problem. Could be my iPad. Can't just hear you properly, but
Oh,
it's just me. I think my iPad.
I've got bad voice.
Yeah.
I will speak very loudly. Yeah, so Dhruva Maharaj, anyone want to share the part from Dhruva Maharaj? Maybe you can speak a little bit over it. I think many devotees, Sima Mataji can share.
I'm sorry, Prabhuji, I'm in Tesco. I'm sorry, I'm listening to you, but because there's some music on, I'm not able to share much. Sorry about that. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare
Sorry.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So Dhruva Maharaj, he left home when he was 5 years old. And because his stepmother, Suruchi, insulted him, he wanted to sit on the lap of his father. So the mother just dragged him off and then told him that if you want to sit on the lap of the king, you should take birth from my womb. And Dhruva Maharaj, being a Kshatriya, he was very angry. He went to his mother and he told his mother, he was crying. He told his mother what happened. But here the mother, Suniti, she gives a very nice response to her son. And she said, if you want to sit on the lap, why do you want to sit on the lap of a human being? Why don't you seek to sit on the lap of the Lord? So here we got two good, what's the word I want to use? Two good advice, I may say. Even Suruchi said, you have to pray to the Lord. And even the Suniti also is saying the same thing. So Dhruva Maharaj, he left home. And then he did tapasya and he met Narad Muni, who became his guru. Narad Muni instructed him to go to the forest. He didn't want the child to go, but then he was testing the child, and he encouraged the child to go in the forest and meditate. And Dhruva Maharaj, we know that he was not eating. He was just eating some fruits at the beginning, and then some leaves, and then he would even breathe once in, I think, 9 days. If I'm correct me, Prabhu, if I'm wrong. So in this way, he meditated, and he meditated so hard that even the air stopped. The air stopped, like doing the job, like going around, and all the demigods were suffocating. So they went to see Lord Brahma, and so Lord Brahma said, "I cannot do anything." They went to see Lord Vishnu, who decided to appear in front of the child. And when Dhruva Maharaj saw the Lord, he could not even utter a word. And so the Lord just touched his console to the cheek of Dhruva Maharaj, and he started praying. So the Lord said, "Ask whatever you want," because he came in the forest in the mood of getting a palace, a kingdom bigger than his great grandfather, who is Brahma. So he wanted to get to be higher than his father. So here the Lord said, "Ask whatever." He said, "I came to look for some broken pieces of glass. Now I have got the real gem. What to do with those pieces of glass?" And he didn't want anything, but still the Lord gave him the pole star, Dhruva, his own planet. And so, yeah, he left. I think he left. He does this world with his body. He didn't quit the body, because at time of death, when death appeared in front of him, he just kind of put his foot on death and then climbed to the with the Vishnu Dutas.
Amazing. The death was standing in front of him, and he put his foot on the head of the death.
Yes. And then he climbed, and then he left. But then he after some time, he just asked them, "Where is my mother?" So they showed him that his mother also is following. And then he was pacified, and then he left. Hare Krishna.
That's amazing. Again, another devotee, great devotee, Dhruva, how he mastered the art of dying. Yes, thank you. Very nice thing. Thank you. Any other first time from Bhagavatam? How about Gajendra? The Gajendra was a very strong elephant, a very strong body, but he got caught up at the wrong place. So elephants are not very strong in the water, but crocodile are strong in the water. He was caught by the crocodile, and he was about to die. At that time, he remembers the Lord, and he such beautiful prayers. And the Lord appears running to him, just jumps off the Garuda to save his devotee, and he mastered that. So there is the art again. Just when he was about to die, he remembered the Lord. Yes, Vendra Prabhu, Ajamil, yes, absolutely. Please speak about Ajamil.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I think Ajamil, I think born in a Brahminical family, and also he was actually following all the Brahminical principles from day one. But fortunately or unfortunately, when he goes into the forest and sees some sensual enjoyment, and he get disturbed, so he get attached to that lady. He marries her, and then he started doing all the abominable activities. So when he got a child at very holy age for him, so he named the last child as Narayana. This is what it shows Krishna, what he says in Bhagavad Gita. He never forgets his devotees. So he made an arrangement such a way that he names his son as Narayana. So he's always used to call him for eating, sleeping, and everything. So at the time of his death, he talks about Narayana. He calls his son, but his son name is Narayana, and because he had so much of devotion, he called his name with so much of love. So then the Yamadutas comes to take him, but Vishnudutas comes and says you can't take him because he spoke about Narayana. And then Azamil remember all these things. When he get up, he leaves everything and he goes and practice devotion service. I forgot the place where he does cleaning the temple and everything. And finally, when the second time Vishnu Dudas comes and takes him, so he wasn't affected.
Yes, thank you so much, Venkata Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. There's a book, Second Chance. Prabhupada wrote the whole Ajamal story, how he got the second chance. So even though he was not intentionally calling the Lord, just because he called the names of Lord Narayan, Vishnu was appeared. So that's the power of Lord's name. Thank you so much. That's very relevant. Thank you. Any other pastime that comes? I was thinking of Vritrasura as well. So does anyone know the Vritrasura? He was in a demon body.
Yes, Prabhuji Vitrasura, when King Chitraketu was cursed as by Parvati Mata and he became Vitrasura, he actually accepted it because he was willing Indra to fight against him. And while he was fighting, he actually worshiped the Lord as well.
Yes, yes. Such a beautiful Chitraketu Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj. Thank you for sharing. That's amazing pastime that Chitraketu Maharaj first did not have a son, so he was quite sad about it. So he had many princesses. He married many princesses to have a child, but he did not. So finally, by the grace of Angira Rishi, he did receive a child. But Angira Rishi did tell him that this child will give you a lot of joy, but will also be the cause of the greatest distress for you. And that's what happened. So the child was born, but what happened is the king became so absorbed with that child, he started to neglect the other queens, and also neglect his kingly duties. So as a result, those neglected queens became envious, and they killed the child. They gave poison to the child, and the child died. And then Chitraketu Maharaj was in so much distress. Yeah, and then again, the Narad Muni also appears on Giroshi second time, and then Narad Muni gives him a mantra to chant. The pastime happens. The child, is brought back to life, and then child says, which father are you? But eventually, Chitraketu Maharaj realizes the temporary nature of the material world and the material body. He was given a mantra by the Narad Muni, and then he perfected that mantra. He was a great devotee of Lord Sankarshan, and he perfected in a way that he also had similar capabilities like Narad Muni. So he was actually going around in his own plane, or actually planet, it says, that he could go around anywhere in the creation. So one time, as he was going on his plane, he saw Lord Shiva sitting with Mother Parvati, and Mother Parvati happened to sit in Lord Shiva's lap, and he smiled at that. And because the whole of assembly, Lord Shiva was at the time, speaking Bhagavad Katha, and Chitraketu Maharaj smiled, looking at this amazing scene, and how Lord Shiva is indifferent to any externals, and how he's just speaking, and then all his devotees are also absorbed in hearing. But Mother Parvati, when she realized Chitraketu Maharaj was actually smiling, or maybe had some thought of how Lord Shiva is sitting there with Mother Parvati on his lap, and she got offended, and she cursed Chitraketu Maharaj to become a demon immediately. Lord Shiva then glorifies at the time how devotees of Lord Vishnu are so wonderful. They will take any situation as the blessing of the Lord. So Chitraketu Maharaj completely composed. Prabhupada says he could have actually counter curse, or he could have again, stopped that curse, but he did not. He accepted that curse with grace and with with happiness, and this is the Lord's desire. And then becomes Vitrasura, a great demon who actually defeated Indra, and he took over the position of the heavenly planets. All the demigods were just defeated by him. And then Indra also then received the knowledge of how to kill this great demon of Vitrasura. And he approached, that's interesting as well. So he approached this great rishi called Dadichi. And this is interesting. So Indra approached Dadichi to say that, that he was advised that he can make a weapon of thunder out of the body of Dadichi's bones.
Bones.
And he approaches Dadichi and says that, that so can I please get your bones so that I can make a weapon that can kill this demon Vitrasura. Now this is interesting. Indra is a devotee of the Lord, but he is now showing a different pastime, that he is afraid of death, so he wants to fight back and he wants to take his position back. And now he is approaching Dadichi, and Dadichi says, okay, if this body is going to die anyway, and if by this body or by the death of my body, some good can be done, why not? So he offered his body, and this is another example of someone who can master the death. He was completely fearless, and he offered his body, and then with the bones, the weapon was created, and then there's a lot of detailed explanation of how the fight ensues between Indra and Vitrasura. And Vitrasura actually, he had a mace, so in the fight he hits Indra, and Indra actually from his hand, the thunder weapon falls away from his hand, and the Airavat is elephant moves back few steps, and Indra is baffled at the time, and Vitrasura then, he knows. He knows that this is Lord's desire, that he gives up his body, the demon. So he's encouraging Indra to pick up the weapon and hit him again. And he could have killed Indra at that time, but that's not what he wanted to do, because he realized what the desire of the Lord is, and he was not afraid of death. And he allowed Indra to then pick up the weapon, the thunder, and then Indra, one by one cut his limbs. And even after all his limbs were cut, both the hands and legs, he swallowed Indra within his body, and Indra was inside the body. From inside the body, with the thunder, cut the stomach. It comes out, and then he finally, attacks with and chops his head. For that, it's like, I think it takes like 365 days or 1 year, something, a long time to cut his head. But Vitrasura was all the time, he was smiling, he was accepting the death as the will of the Lord, and he was like excited to leave the body, and so that he gets a higher position. And this is the amazing qualities of the Lord's devotees. Krishna says in the 8th chapter, there is a lot of beautiful verses that Krishna explains the whole art of dying. Kale cha mameva maran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nastyata samshaya. So antakale cha mameva, so one who remembers me at the time of death, he will certainly come to me. Yam yam vapi swaran bhava krajatyante kalevaram tantamevati konteya sadata bhava bhava. He explains further that whatever one remembers at the time of death, he should get that bhava, or that similar body that he will attain. So the living entities are, as we are reading in this verse, are entering again into every time of dissolution, partial dissolution, the death of the living entity. At that time, that means they enter into the body of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and then again the following day they again come out. So this because the living entities are under three modes of material nature, goodness, and passion and ignorance. Depending on what mode living entity is operating in, they get similar body. They go to upper planetary system, or they stay in the middle, or they go in the lower planetary system, and they just keep on. The living entities just in the conditioned life just keep on taking the death and birth and death and birth and again and again. The death really is explains that it is it's just the sleep, it's just changing of the body. So it is as good as when we go to sleep and next day we wake up again, and with the memory of the same body, then we start to act again. Similarly, in the death, the soul, all that happens is the soul changes the body, and depending on the karma, the mode that a conditioned soul has attained, he just keeps on creating more and more karma for himself or herself, and keep coming back in the material world. But the Lord has, has given us, and why Srila Prabhupada, actually we can also discuss the glorious, passing of Srila Prabhupada himself, how he mastered, the art of dying. He's the Acharya, how he, is given us the example. So it's a detailed pastime how Srila Prabhupada leaves his body, but he was towards the end, he just decided, that he wants to now leave. He stopped eating, and but he continued the translation of Srimad Bhagavatam until the last day. He was not eating for months, but he kept on, his service to the Lord. And actually, even there's a long pastime, even Lord Prabhupada once, first time when he was, he realized that his body health is not getting good, and some of his supporters, some industrialists, Bajaj, they suggested Srila Prabhupada to go and spend time in Rishikesh where he can recover his health. And Srila Prabhupada was in Rishikesh for some time, and then he asked his disciples to take him to Vrindavan, because he said one night that he seen that it's time for him to leave this material world. So he asked his disciples to take him to Vrindavan, and in Vrindavan he stopped eating or drinking completely. And then actually what happens is the devotees all get together, and they make a request to Srila Prabhupada that, Srila Prabhupada, you're a pure devotee of the Lord, and Lord will listen to whatever you say. We all desire that you stay for some more time, and you please, stay for us. And then Srila Prabhupada agreed, actually. And then he regained his appetite and started to, eat again. And then he had better health. But immediately he wanted to then go out preaching. He went, actually he came to London as his last trip. He wanted to go all over the world at the time. But his health obviously deteriorated again. And then he went back to Vrindavan. And how gloriously, he was letting Srimad Bhagavatam until the last breath. That was Lord Krishna says to Arjuna as well. The verse in 8th chapter, Tasma Sarveshu. How does it say? Ma Manusmara Yuddhise. What's the verse? Tasma Sarveshu Kaleshu, Ma Manusmara Yuddhise. Mayyar Pita Mano Buddhir, Mam Evisheshu Samshaya. Tasma Sarveshu Kaleshu, Ma Manusmara Yuddhise. Lord saying to Arjuna that, just remember me and continue your duty. Continue to fight. Mayyar Pita Manor Buddhi. So, you can and put your mind and intelligence into me, and you will certainly come back to me. This is the instruction of the Lord for the devotees, and we see how all the, as we were saying before, how Bhagavad Gita lays the principles, and how we can, validate all those principles, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, first times with the devotees of the Lord, how we understand those principles. And this is again till Narad Muni, how he perfected the art of dying. So quarter to 9. Thank you, Maribel, for your patience. Any questions or reflections or discussions? Okay. And we can end this call. Thank you very much.
Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam Suresh Prabhupada. Are you inviting questions? I didn't hear that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I would just one observation of the list of art of dying list that we've discussed. I think Ajamil and Dhritarashtra don't fall into the art of dying category, really, because they were forced into a situation, and Dhritarashtra was not a pure devotee. He actually doesn't attain Krishna Prem. He only attains I think impersonal liberation, because the way he lives is like a yogi. And Ajamil is not an ideal way of living. That is not, they demonstrate more the mercy of the Lord,
Yes, the Lord. Yes.
rather than the bhakti of the individual. We should be
Yeah, but
looking at pure bhaktas in the art of dying.
so he had the second chance, but see, remember, all of us get second chance. So if you appreciate him in that sense, that when he got the second chance, he went to Haridwar and he performed, the devotional service, and then he perfected the art of that. It's not many people get lots of chances, but how many of us really, grab that chance sincerely? There is an element of sincerity that Ajamil can be appreciated for. It's not ordinary.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant. I think it demonstrates more the Lord's mercy on the devotee. For his previous bhakti, he was given that chance, even by force, as it were, because it wasn't his election to leave that way.
Yes. See, the difference between devotee and, like, even Duryodhan, he saw the universal form of the Lord, but his reaction was very different. So he saw who Krishna is, what he's dealing with, but he did not get the understanding. Karna, for example, he knew that his death is certain, and Lord Krishna personally went to him and asked him to just join Yudhishthira's side, and Yudhishthira will, the moment he realized he is the elder brother, he will offer him the the position of the king, but he did not accept it. So the thing is, so there will be still those elements who will not accept the Lord's devotion. But this Ajamil, when he was given the chance, he did accept it, and he did practice, so he did perfect his life in the end. So yeah, both sides. I think we have to give him some good marks for taking up that opportunity. Yes, absolutely, mercy was there.
Prabhuji, I was told that Vitrasura was a very great devotee of the Lord, and the prayer that he, the prayer that he sang in the Bhagavatam is so powerful. His love for the Lord. He was a demon, but that's because he was cursed. He was King Chitraketu. So is that wrong or right?
No, that's perfect. Yeah, he was great. And Bhagavatam is glorified Vitrasura so much that at some time it gets like, who's the demon, who's not? Like Indra is fighting, and Indra is trying is actually being defeated by Vitrasura, but Vitrasura is such a great devotee. He's just all the time singing the glories of the Lord and praying for his mercy. So it's amazing. Yes, that's amazing. He was a devotee. As he said, he was cursed to become a demon. Like Bharat Maharaj, what do we think of Shailesh Prabhu Bharat Maharaj then?
These are all the Lord's Leela to demonstrate to us how we should be utilizing our life, and if we make an error as to how we should correct it in the follow-up, because his mercy was there. Bharat Maharaj was able to come back as a deer with full memory, and then went on to become Jadabharat, who perfected his life through that way. So these are all pure devotees that Krishna uses for us to learn from. Really, they weren't at fault. I think the Dhritarashtra is also an associate, but he's not a pure devotee. He doesn't fall into the category of pure devotee, even though Dhritarashtra. I didn't say Vritrasura. I think Mataji confused. I was talking about Dhritarashtra. When that example was given, that didn't fall into the art of dying camp. I think Mataji might have misheard me. I wasn't talking about Dhritarashtra.
He did better because I think because of the mercy of a devotee, we give him some marks. But because Vidura was, kind to him, so we also become kind to him. That's the idea. Devotees are always compassionate. So that's why we give marks to everyone. Yeah, the Dhritarashtra certainly doesn't fall in the category of devotees, but eventually he knew who the Lord was kind. But this is the funny thing, like he was hearing the whole Bhagavad Gita and he's still not understanding what's going to happen. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Hema Mata is making a nice comment. Perfecting life when given a second chance is applaudable. This highlights for us not to judge people, but to give benefit of life. Thank you. Okay, that was good discussion. Thank you so much, devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for nice class.
Wonderful class. Thank you very much.
Prabhuji,
Thank you,
wonderful.
Prabhuji, for lovely class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Wonderful discussion and wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.